In this video, we're going to be building a trip hotel booking app. And in this video, we're going to be covering a lot of important concepts when it comes to FlutterFlow. We're going to be talking about authentication. We're going to be talking about Firestore DB. And we are going to be talking about API calls. And also, we're going to be covering a bunch of other topics as well. And as always, you will be able to view and clone this specific project by going over to my Patreon page, and you're gonna see to that page in the description below. So this is the architecture of the app we're gonna be building. We have a login and we have a register, and the idea here is that we want the user to register with us so we can have their user ID, so we can tie some information, so we can personalize some of the things we're gonna be doing straight to their user ID. And so after they log in or register, they are going to go to the My Trips page. And this is a page they're going to see their future trips. If you've used Airbnb, if you've used booking.com, they all have that functionality where you essentially see your future trips, maybe your past trips, and we're going to have information such as city, country, hotel, check-in, and check-out date. Now, if they want to book a new trip, they will be able to do that by first going to the country page. And this page is going to list various countries. And after they've picked the country, they will go to the city page. And there they'll be able to pick the specific city in that country that they want to book a hotel in. After they pick a city, they will be redirected to a page where there's going to be a list of hotels that they can choose for a specific date. Now, this is where we're going to be doing an API call to a third party. So we're actually going to be getting real data that we will be able to look at and use that information to book their trip with. After they pick the hotel that they're interested in, they're going to be redirected to the following page. And this is going to be a confirmation page with all the hotel details and all the information for their future trip. And after that, they can say, yes, this looks good. And they're going to be redirected back to the My Trips page. So if this page was empty initially, they are going to see the trip that they've just completed. And when it comes to the data structure, this is kind of what we have. We're going to have the user's data structure, the user's entity. And this is going to be created automatically by the authentication in FlutterFlow, okay? We're going to have a country's entity, which is a collection. And that's going to have a name and the image. Could be a flag. It could be some kind of a landmark related to that country. We're also going to have a city's entity. Okay, we're going to have a country reference that's going to link back to the country, name of the city image, and the ID. And this is going to be a specific ID when we're going to be calling this hotels API in order to get the available hotels in that specific city that's specific to this specific API. We are also going to have the hotels entity, and this is going to be an API. We're not going to be storing this internally. And last but not least, we're going to have a trips entity, and this is going to be for displaying stuff on the My Trips page. And the data we're going to be storing is going to be a reference to the hotel, city reference, country reference, user reference, as well as a check-in date and a checkout date. So now that we've covered all the architecture here, kind of what we're going to be building, let's go into FlutterFlow and let's start building this app from scratch. So we're going to call this app Hotel Booking App. We're going to say create new, next step, and it's asking us to add the Firebase to this project. Now, obviously, we're going to be using Firebase, so I'm going to go into my Firebase console and create a new project. All right, so we're going to call this Hotel Booking App, create project. All right, we're going to hit continue. And now we have the project created here. And so what we want to do is we want to set up a couple of things. We are going to go into build, and we're going to set up authentication here, okay? We're going to say get started. And what we're going to be doing is email and password today. So we're going to pick this. We're going to enable this, hit save. And now we have this set up here. Okay, next we're going to go into build and create a Firestore database. Do create database. We're going to start in text mode, enable. All right, so here's our database here. Now, the first thing that we want to do is we want to create the collections that we need. And the collections we're going to be creating today are going to be countries, cities, and trips. We're not going to be doing users because that's going to be created for us. All right, so let's go in here and let's create these collections. So we're going to do countries. Next, I'm going to do cities, and we're going to do trips. Now let's go ahead and create the data that we need. And so for the countries, I've prepared the list. Here we have, what is this? 5 countries, US, China, Italy, Turkey, and Mexico. And I have 2 cities for each country, just to keep it simple. Obviously, you can add as many cities or as many countries as you want. So if we go in here, if we go to countries, our country has a name and an image. So we're going to go back here. And we're going to create 5 documents for each of the countries, all right? So we're going to add a field here, name, US. Let's add another one, name, China. Let's do name, Italy, and Mexico. Name, Mexico, all right? The next thing we want to do is we want to add the image in there. And that's going to make our app look a lot nicer because we're going to be displaying a little thumbnail along with the name of the country. And so I propose we just add an image of the specific flag related to the country. All right, so here are flags that we have, and we're going to be adding these flags as URLs to our Firestore database. I'm going to add a field image, and I'm going to paste the URL like this, China. So I added all the respective flags here as a separate field inside this document as part of this collection here. Okay, so the countries are done. Now let's do the same thing for the cities. Okay, we have 2 cities per country, which means 10 cities. And the fields we need is country reference, name, image, and the ID that we're going to add later. So first I'm going to save the country references. So if you click on country, we have all of these documents here. And if you go up on top, you're going to see the reference. So this is Italy, so I'm going to paste it in here so that it's easy to access. China, Turkey, US, and Mexico. All right, so now we have the references, and that's going to allow us to add the content a lot quicker. So first, let's add the cities for US. So we're going to say country ref. This is going to be a reference, and we're going to paste US right here. Going to add a field, New York and Chicago. So we have New York. I'm going to add a document, another document, Chicago, and then country ref. Next, we're going to do China, Beijing and Shanghai, Italy, Turkey, and last but not least, Mexico. All right, so now we have 10 cities for 5 countries there. So this is complete. We still need to add another ID, but we're going to do that in a second. We also have this trips collection, but that's going to be filled in when the user is creating their own trip. So we're going to leave that for later. Now we're going to come in here. We're going to go into project settings. We're going to add this project ID. Say connect. It needs access to this email account. We're going to grant it. Okay, say connect. Enable authentication. Create user collection. Auto-generate config files. Next, we need to select a couple of pages. We have the entry page and the logged in page. So the entry page is going to be the login page. So if you click on this, we can name the page. We're just going to say login. And we can obviously create from a blank page, but we have a lot of nice pages here that we can customize. So why reinvent the wheel? So I'm going to select this page right here, which has a sign in and a sign up there. We're going to say use my theme. And next we need the logged in page. So the logged in page is going to be this page right here. This is going to be the My Trips page. Okay, so we're going to go back here. We're going to say My Trips. And we're going to do also some kind of a pre-made page, maybe from lists. So let's take a look at lists. How about this one right here? This is a basic page. We can customize this for our own needs. So we're going to say use my theme. And now we have 2 of these pages we can start building. And if we go into the page list here, we can see these 2 pages are created. So let's start working with the login here. And the login is obviously, it has a lot of support for a lot of things, but we're going to remove that. We're only going to be using the email login. So I'm going to remove all of this. In fact, I'm going to remove the whole row. And we are going to configure this sign-in page here. Sign-in page. We are going to come in here and we're going to say login email, email and password. So this is already configured. If you go to sign up, we need to do the same thing. We're going to go to create account, action, and we want to make sure it's all set up correctly, right? It has the created document. It has these two fields. So if we hover over, we have email address create, password create, create account, and it's using these two fields because we're going to need to create an account since we don't have an account. And same thing here. For the sign-in, we have login, email, address, and password. So that looks pretty good. And once the user is signed in, they're going to get redirected to this My Trips page. And what we want to do is we want to add this app bar. So we're going to be using this one right here. We're going to rename this to My Trips so they can see their trips. Now, the next thing we will want to do is we want this data to be populated automatically from the stuff we have in our database. And for that, we need to go into our database, our Firestore tab, and configure the schema on our end. We've already done it here, but now we need to do it on our end. So we're going to come in here, and we're going to create the same collections we have here, cities, countries, and trips. So I'm going to do cities, I'm going to do countries, and I'm going to do trips. Well, let's start with countries. For countries, we have image and name. We're going to come in here, country. We're going to say name is a string, and then we're going to add an image. Now, the image we want is the image path. And for cities, we want country ref and name. Okay, so we're going to go back. We're going to say country ref. This is going to be a document reference to countries, create, and name, string. Okay, so now it's the name of the city, and that's going to link back to our collection. There's going to be a reference to that collection, to that specific country in here. And then for trips, what do we want to do? We're going to go back to our schema here, and we want hotel reference, we want city reference, country ref, user ref, check-in, and checkout date. So let's do city ref, country ref, user ref, and then check-in, checkout, and then we'll do hotel. I'm going to go in here, and we're going to say city ref, country ref first. This is going to be a document reference to a country. We're going to do city ref. That's going to be a document reference to a city. We are going to do a user ref, which is going to be tied to a user, and that's going to be document reference to a users. And we also need to do check-in date, checkout date. All right, so we're going to do check-in date. That's going to be a timestamp, and checkout date, timestamp. All right. And the other thing is we need the hotel name, okay? Because we do not have another collection here. It's going to be gotten from an API. We're just going to store the name instead of some reference somewhere. So I'm just going to say hotel name, which is going to be a string. Nice and easy. And so this is going to be the trips collection. And the trips collection is going to be populated on this page right here, on this My Trips, all right? So if we go to our widget tree, what we need to do is we need a list widget, a list view that repeats certain things. But if you go in here, it's not a list view. These are all hard-coded, meaning there are 5 containers here. And so we need to transform all of this so that it's just one container inside a list view, okay? So we have a column and we have this thing right here, and this is what's being repeated. And so what we can do is we can create a list view and put one of these containers below it. And that way it's going to replicate it as it cycles through the elements. And so I'm going to delete all of them except for one. So I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to delete this one, and this one. Now we have this one container. So I'm going to create a list view. There's the list view. We're going to put it right inside that column there. And then this one is going to be inside of it. There we go. So now we have a column, we have a list view, and we have just one container below this list view, and that way it's going to repeat. And so now if we click on the list view, we go to our database setting, we can start listing the possible trips, even though we don't have any. So I'm going to do a query collection, and I'm going to do trips, okay? I'm going to say confirm. And now, as you can see, it automatically starts to kind of repeat them, telling us that they will be repeated when the app runs. And at this point, we can simply customize what we have here. So if we go to this text right here, we can maybe show the name of the hotel. So if we click on this, go to properties, set from variable, trips document, and say hotel name. And then maybe this one could be a city, and maybe this could be a country or something else. So we're going to go in here. First, we need to get the right document. We're going to say document from reference. We're going to say cities. We're going to come in here, trips document, city reference, confirm, and then go back here, set from variable city documents name. And last but not least, this could be the country, for instance. So we're going to do the same thing. Document from reference, countries, country reference, confirm. Go back here, set from variable, countries document name. So now we have hotel name, city name, and a country name. And this image right here could be the country image. Okay? So same thing. We're going to get document from reference, countries, country reference, confirm, come back here, path set from variable, countries document image. Okay? Perfect. We can delete this map view. And now this is going to display our trips here. Okay? So the first step is done, but right now we do not have any trips. So what we need to do is we need a button that will allow us to create our very first trip. And so for that, if we go to our list view here, we want this button to be just under the list view, perhaps, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to add a button. Okay, so there's the button. Let's give it some space at the top, maybe 20 padding, 20 pixels. Let's call this button book a new trip. Let's make it a little bit wider. Yeah, that looks about right. I like this elevation. That looks nicer. And this thing is going to redirect them to the first step, which is this country page here, okay? Now, before we can navigate them to the countries page, we actually need a page. So if we go to our pages, we can add a brand new page, or we can do something else. The thing is, our countries list view is going to be very similar to this one. So we might as well just clone it and modify it. So I'm going to click here, say duplicate page, and I'm going to call this page, we're going to call this countries, and I'm going to do the same thing for the cities as well. Duplicate it, cities, and what else do we have over there? We have the list of the hotels, which is going to be very similar, and the confirmation is going to be different. So let's clone it again for the hotels. Duplicate, going to say hotels. All right, so now we have login, my trips, countries, cities, hotels. And I'm going to add another page for the confirmation, might as well, okay? New page. I'm going to say hotel, confirm. And let's see if we can pick a page from one of the templates here. So if we scroll down, a lot of interesting pages here. Let's see if we can find something interesting. How about this one right here? It's got an image and a bunch of text. We can say use my theme. And we have confirmation. Obviously, we're going to change all this. We're going to do that later. And that looks pretty good. Also, we want to delete this button because we don't really need that. We don't need this button. We're not going to be going anywhere. And so this is going to redirect to countries. So if we go to countries, let's rename this countries. Let's get the data. Let's make sure it's actually getting the right data. We're going to go to the list view. Going to come in here, query collection. This is going to be countries. And we need to modify all of this. Confirm. And now we need to modify all of these fields here because now we're getting different data here. So if we go to this text right here, what do we want to display? Well, we're in the countries. We want to display the country. We don't really need these two things. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete this row and this row. And now we only have this, this text here. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. 22, that looks good. And now, as you can see, we're getting from the countries, and country has a name. So if we come in here to the text, we don't need to do any kind of documents or anything like that. We can simply set from variable, click here and pick name, confirm. And now it's going to display the country name. Here we can display the country image. Set from variable, image, perfect, confirm. And this is going to be displaying the countries here, okay? We can also delete this. If they pick a country, we want it to be redirected to the next page, which is the cities. And we want to pass the parameter the country parameter to the cities page, okay, the reference. If they click on this, we want it to be redirected to the cities page. So we're going to come to action, add an action. We'll navigate to cities, and we want to define a parameter. We're going to add a parameter. This is on the cities page now. And the parameter is going to be passing country ref. This is a document reference. Collection is countries, confirm. And now we can pass it because we just defined it on the target page. Country ref, countries document reference. Okay, that way we can get the whole data if we want. All right, so this is going to redirect to the countries, to the cities. Let's go to cities. Let's change this. Cities. Let's change this to hotels. And we're going to change all of this. This is our confirmation. We're going to change that in a second. So we have countries and we have cities. So let's run the app and see if it works so far, because we have the registration and we have a little bit of flow there happening. All right, so here's the app. We have the login screen here. We can sign in or we can sign up, okay? So I don't have an account just yet. I'm going to sign up. I'm going to hit create account. And so this is the app right here. And as you can see, I don't have any trips. That is why I'm not seeing the list. All I see is this button. And if we go back to our Firestore DB and we go to users, we can see the user account. This is the account I just created. Now let's go back to the app and let's configure our app. So for book a new trip, we wanted to navigate to countries. We're not going to be passing any parameters. We're simply starting the whole flow of booking the process. And so let's go into our countries page and let's set it up correctly. Let's see if it's set up properly. There's our list view. This is countries, and we have two fields. We have the image and we have the text. Now let's make sure we have the action as well. This row is pointing to cities, and we're passing the country reference. Now for the cities here, what we want to do is we want to select cities, but we want to filter by the country reference. Okay, we're going to do filter here, and we're going to be passing filtering by the country reference. Okay, so it says here country reference relation equal to value source from variable country reference. Okay, that way we're only going to be seeing the cities for the country that we chose on the previous page. I'm going to say confirm. Now here on the cities page, we want to display this as a city, and here maybe as a country, and we don't need this field at all. I'm going to delete this row right here. And so this could be city. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, and this could be the country. So let's make this 18. This is going to be cities name. That's the city name, and this is going to be the country name. Okay, and for that we need to get document from reference. We need to say countries, and we need to say country reference. Now we can go back here and pick name of the country. Okay, so that's for the cities. We have this row here, and we want the row to forward to hotels, and we want to pass the city. So we're going to go to action, add an action, navigate to hotels. Now we want to pass a parameter, and what we want to pass is the destination ID, okay? And this destination ID is going to be specific to each city, because we're going to be using the destination ID to make new calls in order to get hotel information, okay? And so right now I'm just going to put a dummy destination ID just to test the flow. So we're going to define a parameter. This is for the hotels. I'm going to say destination ID, which is an ID for the city. It's going to be an integer, confirm. We're going to pass it, and I'm just going to say specific value. I'm just going to say 1, just to put something in there so we do not forget. Here's the app, book new trip. And here we see the cities, the flags, city name, country name. And the idea is that when you click on it, it's going to be redirected to the hotels, and we're going to make an API call that's going to get all the hotels in that specific city. And let's talk about that right now. Now, the API service we're going to be using is called a Rapid API. They have lots and lots of APIs. The API we're going to be using is called this hotels. It's a freemium API, and if you go into pricing, you can see that you can make 500 calls a month for absolutely free. And this is a very, very popular API, 100% service level, 9.8 out of 10 popularity. And so if you sign up to this service and you find this API, you go into endpoints, you can start playing with the data. And what we're looking for here is the properties. We want to go into properties list, And we want to go in here and make this call. Now it wants this destination ID. And before we can get the destination ID, we need to go into search and we want to type the name of a country, city, district, places. And so what we're going to do is we're going to find a couple of destination IDs. So for instance, for Rome, we type Rome, it creates a request. We're going to say test endpoint. And as you can see, it says success, and here are the results. So if we open this thing here, we're going to open the first one. This is a neighborhood. We don't want that. We want the second one. This is a city. And here's the destination ID. So this is a destination ID for Rome. I'm going to go back to my page right here, and I'm going to paste it here. And I'm going to do the same thing for Venice. Test endpoint. So this is actually Venice, Florida. So if we go to the first result, we have city, Venice, Veneto, Italy. That is what we want. We're going to copy the destination ID for Venice. And let's do it for a couple of more cities, New York and Chicago. You guys understand how it works. I'm going to type Chicago, test endpoint. And it says we have the first result, city, Chicago, Illinois. That's perfect. Destination ID, we're going to paste it here. Actually, paste it here. And then New York, test endpoint. And what do we have? The first result is a city, New York, New York. This is exactly what we want. Because remember, this is not just cities. It's country, cities, district, places. There's lots of things. So you kind of have to find this destination IDs. That's kind of what we have. And so we have 4 cities, which is enough to kind of get the idea. Next thing we want to do is we want to go back to our Firestore DB. We want to go into cities. And we want to find those cities. And we want to add the destination ID there, okay? So there's Rome. I'm going to add a destination ID. I'm going to say number. This is the destination ID. We have New York. I'm going to add a destination ID. Number. There's New York. We have Venice. Destination ID. Number. There we go. And I think we're missing one last city. Chicago. Destination ID. Number. There's our Chicago destination ID. Okay. We added it here. And now we will know the destination ID. We can make a call using that destination ID in order to get the list of hotels, which is what the API requires. So if we go back to our app, we go to our Firebase Firestore DB collections. We're going to go to cities. We need to add destination ID. This is going to be an integer. Create. Okay, there you go. So now we are going to be making the API call. Okay, and before we can do that, we need to come in here. We need to configure this API call. And that's very easy. If you go back to our API kind of test point, this main page here, and you will go to this call here, property list, which is what we're going to be calling. And if you scroll down, you have this header parameters, required parameters, and one of them is the destination ID, which is what we need. And as you can see, this is kind of how it forms the request, okay? So if we go back here, we go back to our app, we want to paste the API call name, and we're going to call this get hotels. The method type is get. You can see all of these are get methods. So it's get, and the URL is this. We're going to copy and paste it here. Next, we need to add the headers, and we need to add the query parameter. So we only have 2 headers. If you come in here, we have this rapid. This is the key, and this key is going to be different for you. Okay, we're going to paste it in here. We're going to add another header. This is the host header. And as you can see, these are all required. You need to do it exactly like you have it here. I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to fix it up. I'm going to remove the quotation marks. Okay, you got to remove the quotation marks. There you go. Now we need to add the parameters, right? So let's go back here. This is the parameters. So out of all of these parameters, the only ones we're going to be messing with is destination ID, check in, check out. And that's about it. Page number is always going to be 1, page size 25, adults 1. You can make it a variable if you want. But if you scroll down, we only need these 6 parameters. So I'm going to say destination ID, copy that, paste it here. Value type is an integer. Next parameter is going to be a page number, page size. So we're going to come in here, page number, page size. Both are integers, and I'm going to set default values 1 and 25. Going to come back, check in, check out, and adults 1. Okay, so we're going to do check in. Let me double check. Yeah, capital. And then check out. These are going to be this is going to be a string. As you can see, this is a string, and this is a number. I'm gonna come back here, string, and then we have adults 1. This is gonna be an integer, and 1 is the default value. We're gonna say add call. Now, when you click on it, you have all of these things. Now you can go to response and test, and you can actually test it out. So let's type a destination ID. What do we have here? Let's do New York. Paste it here, and now we have this destination ID. Page number 1, page size 25, check in. Let's do month, something like this. Check out 10 days later, adults 1. Okay, so all of this, let's cross our fingers and make sure it works. Test API. And we have a success, and we actually got the hotels. You see this result, search results? We have 1,448 results, but we're only getting 25. One page and only 25, so we're only getting 25 results. Now, what we only want is this results here. We don't really care about this, this header. And that's where this JSON path name comes in. We're going to say custom, and we're going to say we want data body result search results. So we're going to say data body search results, and then I'm going to say results. And now we have an array. Okay, that's what we want. So you can copy that and you can save that. I'm going to say save call. And now you have the call, and you also have the JSON path for extracting just the right values. Because, you know, a lot of times they send you this big response, and you only need the specific values. All right. We're going to come to the action right here, the one that had the row that has an action. We're going to say destination ID. And what we're going to do is from variable, cities document, we have destination ID. Now it's a variable, okay? And so now if we go to hotels and we go to our list view, we can actually do a query API call name get hotels, and we can actually specify the parameter because we need that one parameter, and that parameter is destination ID. We're going to say from variable, destination ID. We're going to hit confirm. So now that we've configured the API call, we need to do another critical step. We need to go to generate dynamic children, and we need to make sure that the array we are getting in the response is actually converted into different items. So we're going to call this items here. We're going to say max items. I only want to get like 5 hotels. I don't want to get like thousands. And for this variable, we're going to say get hotels response option, JSON body, JSON path, custom, and we're going to paste this response here. So we have data body search results. And this means that we're going to get those specific items. We need to say confirm. Okay, and now we're going to get multiple items. Okay, now this is the key. Okay, and now we can actually configure the fields because we know kind of what we're dealing with. Okay, let's go into these fields. And what do we want these fields to be? Well, I want this to be the hotel name, maybe city here, and that's it, and maybe something else. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to expand it. I'm going to keep it simple. I don't need the third row. And I'm going to make this bigger, maybe 20. Make this maybe 16. This is going to be the hotel name. So we want to set from variable. We have our items. We want to do JSON path. And we want to specify the JSON path of the item that we're getting. So if we go back here, we have our example responses here. We go to body, search results, and then we have the actual results. And this is kind of what we're going to be getting. We're going to be getting 0 through whatever, 0 through 5, as we specified. And now we need to extract the name, and we need to extract different things. So let's go back here and say name. Okay, and that's going to be the name from this result. Every result has ID, name, address, etc. And for the second field, we don't really need anything. We can just delete this field because the hotel name is going to be fine. Okay, so we have the hotel name here. That is going to be displaying when we run the query. Okay, so if we come in here, we have the JSON path name. Okay, and if we come to the list view, we're actually getting these results. We're getting all the data, and we're only getting 5 max items. So let's run it and see if that works. All right, book a new trip. I'm going to say US. I'm going to say New York. Now it's making the call. And as you can see, these are the hotels. We got 5 hotels. And I don't think you need me to tell you that these hotels are in New York. Broadway Hotel, another hotel. The only thing we need to do is make this a little bit smaller, okay? And now when we click on it, we are going to be redirected to the detail page where we can display all kinds of information about the hotel, confirm that, and save that as part of their trip. And that is what we're going to be doing right now. As you can see, it redirects to the detail page, but none of the detail stuff is here. So that's what we're going to fix right now. Now, in order for this confirmation page to have all the data, we need to make sure we're passing all the parameters from all the previous pages as well, because we need that data. And so if we go into countries, from countries to cities, if we go into cities, we are passing the country reference. So we need to make sure that's getting passed to the hotels as well. So we're going to be defining another parameter to pass that countries over there. We're going to say country ref, document reference, countries, confirm. And now we're passing country ref and the destination ID. Now, if we go to the hotels, we need to make sure we're passing everything. Country ref, destination city ref, as well as the hotel name to our hotel confirmation page. We're going to come in here, go to row. We're going to pass our parameters. Okay, we're going to say pass. And now from the hotels to the hotel confirmation, we're passing the city ref, country ref, hotel name. And now from the hotels page to the hotel confirmation, we are passing all the data we've collected so far, including city ref, country ref, and the hotel name. And so if we go back to this page, this hotel confirmation, and then we look at the parameters, we have all of these parameters. City ref, country ref, hotel name, etc., etc. So let's fix it up. Let's make this the name of the hotel. Set from variable, hotel name. This thing here is a reference, so we need to make sure get the reference. Document from reference, cities, city reference, confirm, and then we can go back here and say cities document name. Okay, now this is going to be the city name. We can delete all this, delete all that, delete all that. We could have a hotel rating here, delete this, delete all that, delete all that. And this is going to be the confirmation page. So we may want to have something that says confirmation. And this thing could be maybe the flag of the country or some kind of another image. I'm just going to put the flag of the country because that's kind of what we have. So I'm going to come in here, query type, document from reference. We're going to get country, country ref. We're going to come in here. And then we are going to do a network, set from variable, countries document image. Okay, this is going to be our country image. And we may also want another text. This text right here, I'm going to duplicate it, put it above, and this might be, I'm going to delete this, confirmation, trip confirmation. Make it a little bit bigger, you can add a row, and we can center it inside this row. And now it says trip confirmation, maybe give it some spacing. This is going to be the name, this is going to be the city name, this is the hotel name, and we need a button that says confirm. We're going to add a button right here. Let's add it inside a row and let's center it. Yep, that looks good. Let's give it some spacing from the top, and then this button is going to say confirm. Confirm. There we go. And when they hit it, it's going to save all the data inside their trips and redirect it back to their trips page. Okay, I'm going to say add an action. We're going to say database, create document, collection is trips. We're going to add our country ref, city ref, user ref. So maybe country ref, city ref, user ref, and hotel name. So I'm going to say country ref. We have that. We have city ref. We have city ref. We have user ref. We have user ref, authenticated user, user reference, hotel name. We're going to say from variable, set, hotel name. Everything is there. And now it's going to save all that. We want it to redirect back to the My Trips page. So we're going to open the flow editor, add another action. This is going to be navigate to My Trips. And there we have it. Okay, so let's try it out. Let's run it again. So here's the app. We have no trips booked. We're going to book a trip. We're going to go to US, New York. It's making the API call here. We're going to pick this hotel. We have our trip confirmation. There's the flag. We're going to say confirm. And now we're in My Trips and we're seeing our confirmation. Okay. The only thing is that it's displaying all the trips. It's not displaying our trip just yet. That's what we need to fix. So we're going to fix that right now. Very, very easily. We're going to go to My Trips and to Widget Hierarchy. And we want this list view to be filtered based on my authenticated user. We're going to say userref equal to from variable authenticated user userref. Okay, let's run it one more time to make sure everything works correctly. So here's the app and we see our trip and that's tied to my own username. So let's book another trip. Let's say we're going to Italy. I'm going to say Italy. I'm going to pick Rome. Let's see if it can find some good hotels for us. All right, let's stay at Palace Rome. Confirm. And there we go. We have New York trip and we have Rome trip. All right. So that is all that I wanted to show you guys. I really, really hope you've gotten value here. And remember, you can view and clone this entire project on my Patreon page. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment below if you have any questions or concerns. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of these kinds of videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk with you guys in the next video.